September 24th, 1971, marked the last day 16-year-old Kathy Murray Moulton was seen. Residing in Portland, Maine, Kathy had plans to attend a dance in her hometown that night. She asked her father to drop her off on Cumberland Avenue in the evening, as she intended to buy a pair of pantyhose and some toothpaste before getting ready for the dance. Later that day, she visited a friend at a music store on Forest Avenue. Kathy told her friend she would see her at the dance, and then mentioned she would walk home, which was about 1.5 miles away. She was last spotted walking down Forest Avenue after leaving the music store, carrying a brown leather Mexican clutch purse containing her house key, 2 tubes of toothpaste, and a small amount of money. When Kathy failed to return home by dinner, her parents immediately sensed something was amiss and reported her missing. There were claims that Kathy was seen in a stolen blue Cadillac with a friend, Lester Everett, and it's speculated that she might have left willingly with him. Later, there were sightings of Kathy, Lester, and another young man, Ronald Reed Purley, in a remote area of Aroostook County a few weeks after she vanished. Eventually, Lester was located alone. He asserted he did not know Kathy's whereabouts. A garage employee in Fort Fairfield, Aroostook, was involved in the ongoing mystery surrounding Kathy's disappearance. County remembered seeing Kathy, Lester, and Ronald. They came to the garage to buy new tires for the Cadillac. The employees and Ronald appear to be controlling Kathy's movements, even walking her to and from the bathroom with his hand on the back of her neck across the border on the Tobique Reserve. Witnesses said they saw Lester and Kathy for a few days in September 1971 before the two went to a farm in the Mars Hill area of Aroostook County, where they started working on a potato field and McBride's farm. Kathy was completely distrusting of Lester and continually begged to go back home to Portland, which he refused. Kathy befriended a teenage girl who worked on the fields. The girl said Kathy was nervous about her parents being upset with her and that they were probably looking for her. According to the girl, Kathy also cried often and seemed fearful of the other men working on the farm. She often said she wanted to go home. Lester became tired of Kathy's constant complaining to go home. So on the evening of September 29, 1971, while the other field workers were enjoying a bonfire, Lester got behind the wheel of the stolen car with Kathy in the passenger seat, and he told her that they were going for a ride. Kathy implored Lester to take her back home, but he refused. The following morning, Lester returned alone, claiming he had left her at another camp. However, in truth, he had taken her across the Canadian border to the Tobique Reserve and left her there with Ronald. After the potato harvesting season ended, Lester, along with some others, departed for Florida to pick oranges and never came back to Maine. When later questioned, he maintained ignorance about Kathy's fate. Lester passed away from cancer in the mid-1980s at the age of 35. Ronald, who had a criminal history including rape and home invasion, has been a key suspect in the investigation. Despite being offered immunity in exchange for information about Kathy, he has consistently refused to cooperate with the police. There has been speculation that Kathy might have been murdered by Lester and her body abandoned in the woods of Aroostook County. However, this theory was challenged by some of Ronald's relatives, who confirmed that Lester had left Kathy at their home and suggested that one of their family members might have harmed her. The exact truth remains elusive, as his family has also declined to assist the police in the investigation. Investigators suspect that Kathy may have died on the Tobique Reserve before Thanksgiving of 1971, but lack sufficient evidence to charge anyone or to warrant a search of Ronald's family residence. In 1983, a hunter reported finding a skeleton surrounded by female clothing in the woods near Smyrna, Maine. Some investigators believe these remains could be Kathy's, but this has not been conclusively determined. The hunter who found the skeleton was unable to lead police back to the location, resulting in the bones being lost and never recovered. At the time of her disappearance, Kathy was a junior at Deering High School. Her classmates described her as a happy individual, seemingly with no inclination to run away from home. Her father passed away in 2017, but her mother remains alive, holding on to hope for a resolution in Kathy's case. Mary Virginia Carpenter, a 21-year-old from Texarkana, Texas, went missing in Denton during the summer of 1948. A taxi driver last saw her around 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday, June 1, 1948. Mary left Texarkana by train for Denton, which was 6 hours away. Upon arrival, she took a taxi to Texas Women's University, intending to complete a summer term there. She had transferred from the University of Arkansas after deciding to pursue a different career path. Mary initially attended Texas Women's University during the 1945 to 1946 academic year, but then took a break to assist her ill mother and save money. She re-enrolled for the 1948 summer term, with plans to start training as a laboratory technician in the fall. However, she vanished just before the term began. The last person to see Mary Carpenter, taxi driver Edgar Ray Zachary, recounted that he dropped her off at Breckenridge Hall, a campus building, at 9 p.m. Mary handed him a ticket for her trunk and paid him $1 with the arrangement that he would collect it from the train station the following day. After exiting the taxi, Mary approached two young men near a yellow convertible, which Zachary believed was a Pontiac. One man was tall, and the other was stocky. Mary seemed to know them and started conversing with them, leading Edgar to assume they were her friends, so he left the scene. Mary never checked into her dorm at Breckenridge Hall and was not seen or heard from again after that encounter. Some of Mary's ex-boyfriends suggested that she might have been quick to fall in love and speculated that she might have eloped with a lover. However, her family found this unlikely, considering Mary's close relationship with them and how out of character such an action would be for her. She had previously been engaged, but ended the engagement just weeks before the wedding. The police focused their investigation on her boyfriend, Kenny Branham, and the cab driver, Edgar. Kenny passed polygraph tests and maintained that Mary had no reason to run away, as there was no secret lover, jealous ex, or desire to leave her current life. Additionally, Kenny was the one who first informed Mary's mother about her disappearance, making his involvement in the case improbable. Furthermore, Mary was eagerly anticipating the start of her semester at college. Investigators eventually came to believe that Mary had been abducted. Their focus shifted to Edgar, the cab driver, after learning about his criminal history, including petty offenses and a reputation for abusive behavior. He was accused of attempted rape in 1957. But the charges were dropped when the victim requested that the authorities not prosecute. Edgar's wife initially claimed he was home with her from 10 p.m. on the night Mary vanished. However, a decade later, she confessed to the police that she had lied. Edgar had not returned home until between 2 and 3 a.m. Edgar passed away in 1984 and was never charged in Mary's case, yet he remained a suspect despite passing 2 polygraph tests. In the winter and spring of 1946, a series of murders occurred in Lovers' Lanes in Mary's hometown of Texarkana. Lovers' Lanes are secluded areas where people often engage in romantic or sexual activities inside their vehicles. The victims were all young, around Mary's age, and the crimes were believed to be committed by the same individual known as the Texarkana Phantom Killer. This murderer was never apprehended. Intriguingly, Mary knew 3 of the killer's victims, raising suspicions that her case might be connected to these murders. However, police found no evidence to substantiate this theory. In 1998, police were tipped off that 2 men had raped and murdered Mary shortly after she vanished, burying her body near a dam at a stock tank close to the Texas Women's University campus. By then, both suspects had passed away. Police investigated the site based on this information, but found no evidence. Over the years, there have been various leads and alleged sightings of Mary, but none have led to any concrete evidence. Both of Mary's parents are deceased, and as she was an only child, her case now lies with her 3 cousins, who continue to hope for closure. Similarly, Army veteran Alvin Matlav, also 21 at the time, went missing in the spring of 1951. There have been numerous theories about his disappearance, none of them favorable. Alvin was last seen in Spokane, Washington, and lived in a cabin on Browns Mountain in Spokane County at the time. His younger brother Clyde, who was 12 years old when Alvin disappeared, is now 83 and still hopes to find his brother. Clyde and his wife Patricia attended the inaugural missing person event hosted by the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office in 2016. This event aimed to aid in locating missing persons, allowing attendees to file police reports, submit DNA and dental records, and provide photographs of their missing loved ones. Alvin had informed family members of his cabin's location in March before his disappearance. Alvin's family first became concerned about his whereabouts when he failed to appear for the family's Thanksgiving dinner in 1951. Alarmed, his mother went to his cabin on Brown Mountain only to discover it empty, with both of his vehicles missing. A neighbor informed the family that Alvin had quietly packed up and left for Alaska, a claim that Clyde and other relatives initially believed, partly out of hope. However, as years passed without any word from Alvin, it became evident that he was not in Alaska. Rumors circulated that Alvin was involved in an affair with a married woman and had been in a confrontation with the woman's husband upon discovery of the affair. There were reports, supposedly from neighbors, of hearing Alvin's cries for help during a scuffle, suggesting that the woman might have shot him and that the couple left him to die. No body was ever found, and while the police investigated these allegations, the lack of a corpse meant no arrests were made. Records do not show that Alvin ever lived in Alaska. Nevertheless, according to his family, Alvin was a loner and avid outdoorsman. The idea of him moving to Alaska did not seem implausible, considering it aligned with his lifestyle in his cabin on Brown Mountain. Despite the absence of any records indicating Alvin's relocation to Alaska and the total cessation of contact with him, the situation remains puzzling. Doubts have also been cast on the neighbor who claimed that Alvin had moved to Alaska. Patricia Matlock, in her efforts to uncover the truth, conducted her detective work, seeking new leads and attempting to locate potential witnesses, but her efforts were fruitless. At the missing person event in 2016, Clyde's contribution was limited to providing photographs of his brother and submitting his DNA. He held on to the hope that these actions might one day help in locating and identifying his brother's remains.